Welcome to QuinCast, where no conversation is off limits. Join us as we moan about pleasure,
whisper about desire,
and shout about empowerment. We are your hosts, Kaza.
Jules.
and smudge.
And today we're talking about swingers. We've got a special guest joining us to share the ins and outs, careful, of this lifestyle. And there were some surprises along the way. Interesting stuff. Here we go.
So, ladies, it's all about the swinging today.
It's swinging.
Swing, swing, swing.
I always loved swings as a kid. Did you ever swing so hard that the jungle thing pumped up and down, like the legs came off the ground? Anyway, it's not
Yes.
that kind of
Yeah,
swinging.
we used to call it the bumps when you used to swing so far
Yeah.
up that the chains became bowed, and then
Yes.
it'd drop you down, and it was called the bumps because it literally shook every bone in your body, and it was like you were crashing down. Yeah. Yeah.
But what does that have to do with we're a podcast about audio erotica? So why are we talking about swinging on a playground?
Well, we're
Funny,
not,
'cause
but
it's fun.
it ties in to the swinging lifestyle, and yeah, it doesn't swing it at all. But yeah, so today we have owners and creators of the Pineapple Lifestyle app. How exciting!
All right, so Pineapple is on a mission to become the world's leading lifestyle platform for modern intimacy, connection, and community. As we grow, our focus remains on creating a safe, fun, inclusive, and empowering space that brings people together, both online and in real life.
Do you know much about swinging, ladies?
I do not. I'm going into this very naive, which I'm actually kind of glad about because I'm excited to learn all about this.
I'm excited too. The main things I know is I have a pineapple tattoo on my wrist that I didn't know what it meant when I got it. So other people
Liar.
think I know a lot about the lifestyle, which interesting stares, some visual propositions. I'm like, hey, and I've had friends who were in the lifestyle, so I know a little bit about it. But no, I'm not well versed. So I'm excited to talk to these guys as well.
Oh, they're here. They're in the waiting room.
Okay.
Woohoo!
All right, let's let them in.
I welcome Nikki. We have Nikki in the studio. Welcome to Queencast.
Hey, Nikki.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm just lucky to be here.
So excited to hear about the swinger lifestyle. We love on this podcast to talk about all things desire, pleasure, and to have an expert in the house is pretty fucking cool.
Amazing.
I absolutely love that.
So primarily your organization is an app, right?
It is, yeah.
So it's an
So
app that
it's
people can use to find events and other people in the lifestyle.
yeah, so it's basically a little bit like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all in one. So Carl, who is my partner and he's the founder, he has been on different platforms on websites for a long time, for 20 odd years, and he found that it's very, very difficult to feel safe, for especially women to feel safe because people aren't who they say they are. You get people pretending to be a couple, but it's not, it's a single man. So there was a lot of issues with the lifestyle. And plus it's, reputation as well. So he wanted to create an app that is a social app.
And I think it's super important to mention because this really struck me. I felt really good reading this that Pineapple is the first app of its kind to verify every single user manually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
super
do.
safe. All accounts are verified by humans, which that must be an incredible amount of time spent, but appreciated because that's just there's
Yeah.
so much out there that is not safe that this feels really good.
Absolutely. There's no other way really. I mean, you can use AI, but there's lots of errors with that. But yeah, we make sure that we check everybody, and if we're not happy, then we won't let people join. So we actually refuse more people than we let on to the app. And if people may have, if anyone does slip through the net, we're very quick because all our members are very good at reporting people if they're worried or concerned, and we get on straight onto it and they're booted. So it's a really safe platform, especially for women.
And I can kind of guess by the accent, but what geographic area is it primarily in?
Well, we are in the UK primarily. However, we have an awful lot of users in the US.
Oh,
We do have, in fact, I think majority of our members are in the US, which is really exciting. We do want to do more in the States. It's just a little, we're still developing. It's still early days. We're only 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
We've got a lot of developing to do, but we do want to reach the US as well. And it's lovely having so many people from different states join and contribute as well. It's lovely.
If somebody didn't know what the swinging lifestyle was, can you just explain it in a couple of sentences?
Yeah, so it's openness. It's being open in your relationship. So we like to call it the adult alternative lifestyle now, because when people think of swinging, they think of keys in a jar, the old-fashioned,
Yep.
very seedy,
Yeah.
seedy clubs, things like that. And it is nothing like that at all. You get people from all ages, and it's just about freedom. So people can be have non-monogamy where they share with the partners. Some people like to just socialize with the lifestyle and just enjoy, being around people with the same mindset. But it's just all about freedom, choice, and safety and fun. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, I do remember the sort of, I think it's been in a lot of movies, and there's a lot of those quips of, oh, just throw your keys into the, into the
Yes.
bowl
Yes.
parties. Did that sort of transfer over to America? It was definitely a British thing that we grew up with, throwing your keys in the bowl for,
Yeah.
Oh,
reference to wife swapping parties. I think they used to be called back in the day, not swinging,
Yeah.
but wife swapping. Forget the husbands. It was wife swapping parties. But
yeah.
Yeah.
how
It's
about the US?
Yeah, we there used to be, I remember like in the 90s it would be a big thing for them to do random episodes on sitcoms that kind of were around without, everything was like PG back in the 90s and sitcoms usually. But and so sometimes it'd be people who show up accidentally to a party and they see the keys and they realize
yeah.
where they are and they're like, "Oh my gosh."
But yeah, it isn't like that really. And yeah, it's very social. And it's just safe and it's fun. But yeah, it's not how it's portrayed a lot of the time. And it's just, when you go to club events, things like that, a lot of the time you can just, we have fancy dress parties where we have themes, and obviously just wearing what you feel comfortable in. So some people wear lingerie, some people will wear just a towel if they're walking around and going in the jacuzzi. It's just that air of freedom, and you're in a safe space.
Wow.
It's very, very freeing, liberating.
How were
Yeah.
you first introduced to it, Nikki? To the
How was I
lifestyle?
introduced to it? So
Yeah.
I've been in the lifestyle for about 7 years now. I got into it by
Hmm.
accident. I was with an ex-partner, and we thought, oh, should we try going to a club? Let's see what it's like. And we
Hmm.
went, and we absolutely loved it. We just met so many lovely people. So it just started from there. And then I eventually met Carl, who's been in the lifestyle for a long time. We met at a mutual party, and we got together, and he was just starting to talk about the app. And we've been together 4 years now, and we've got engaged recently. So we're getting married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So
Congratulations.
it's nice. You can meet people in the lifestyle and have a lovely relationship as well. It's great. But for me, it's nice just having that freedom. I have so many friends in the lifestyle that are just we do anything for each other. It's like family. It really is. It's lovely. We really do genuinely care about each other and how we feel. And people just think it's all about sex, and it isn't. It's about relationships and bonding and having that community.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And something you keep saying is three words that I feel like a lot of times nowadays don't go together, and it's freedom, fun, and safety. And you keep saying
Yes.
that, and every time you say that, it sounds so reassuring
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because especially we talk a lot on this podcast about how sometimes we don't feel safe going to, pump gas if it's dark out as women. And so it's
Yeah.
just so refreshing to hear this, especially as you're kind of talking about some of the common misconceptions. Like you said,
Yeah.
people
Mm.
think it's all about sex, where that, as you're telling us, doesn't seem like that's
Yeah.
the main
Yeah,
thing.
people
Wow.
just think, oh, they can get a hookup, and it's not like that at all. Like I was on an original platform, and I'd have 700 messages as a single woman, and I wouldn't even look at them because a lot of the time it's just men trying to, have a quick meet, and they send you unsolicited photos, that kind of thing. So that's why with the pineapple app, you can't do that. It's more of a social safety aspect. And it's like with the clubs as well, you have to, you are vetted, not all of the clubs, but the ones that we're involved with, like the Lifestyle Lounge in Manchester, you have to be a member. You don't get through the door unless you're a member, or we've seen ID.
That's
And
amazing.
So it's
I
good.
can kind of attest to that in real life, because a couple of weeks ago, for the podcast, I went and did some investigation, and
Did
I
some
attended
research.
my very first club event at JD's, the one you've just referenced, in
Yeah.
Bedfordshire. And apparently I'm a unicorn, Nikki, is that right?
Yeah. So a unicorn is a single female in the lifestyle who, if you're a unicorn, you tend to be available for singles and couples. But it's usually a single woman, and you can be bisexual, you can be just into women, into men, whoever. It doesn't matter. You're just free to do as you choose.
Because I'm single women that go to these types of clubs, not because it wasn't unsafe, and I'll attest to that. It's just because it's quite rare, because I think single females of any, whether there were some trans people there, and non-binary, but as a single female of any, then they're just rare, because they just don't feel like they can go to those types of places. And I think episodes like this will hopefully announce to the world that
Yeah.
if you do want to, then you can. And I felt
Yeah.
under no way, shape or form at any point unsafe.
No, and everyone looks after you. And the good thing is if anybody does sort of slip through the net and they are, it causing you issues, then management are so on the ball, they will be removed straight away. There is no messing. Any threats, anybody feels uncomfortable, people are removed and banned. And there is a code red that people have within the club life where they will share with other clubs, please do not let these people in your club. So it protects, it's all about working together to protect everybody.
If you're comfortable, Nikki, well, can you share a little bit about like what your first experience in the lifestyle was like how that came about? And
Yeah, so for me, I was absolutely terrified the first time I went to a club. So I didn't know what to expect. I was just wearing my normal clothes, went into the club, and it was in Manchester, and they said, right, you need to dress down straight away. And I was like, what? So people wear lingerie or whatever
okay.
straight away. You're not allowed to be fully clothed. So I was panicking because I'd literally just got my knickers and bra on, basically. They gave me a towel, and
Were you wearing your Bridget Jones pants?
I wasn't, luckily. Do you know what? Luckily, I wasn't, but usually I do. But it's so funny because before we went, I was really nervous, and my partner was absolutely fine. He was like, "Oh no, it's fine. It'll be good. It'll be a good laugh." We got in there, and we walked in. I'd got a towel wrapped around me up to my neck, and instantly I felt relaxed because I walked into the club, and there were so many people of all different shapes and sizes, all different ages. I was expecting everyone to be like a model, stick thin, and I'm curvy. I've got curves, and I'm proud of that. And yeah, I didn't feel uncomfortable one bit, and everybody was so welcoming. So, I felt really comfortable, and I met loads of people. We just socialized. There was a bar, so usually there's a bar area where you can have drinks. There's disco, there's like pool tables. It's like a social. It's just like going to a normal bar, really, but where everyone's wearing much less clothing. And it was it was really good fun. And we got chatting to another couple, and they were sort of giving us advice. So it's like a little bit. And I would say to anybody venturing into the lifestyle, you don't have to go into a club and expect to do anything or to meet people. It's all about experience and just getting to know the lifestyle, have no expectations, just go, have fun, talk to people, and then progress from there. So when you next go, you might feel comfortable to go and have a look at, because the playrooms in clubs usually are separate. So you don't
Yeah.
feel like you have to see anything if you don't want to, or if you want to go and
Mhm.
have a look and see what's going on in the rooms, you can. So it's very,
Mhm.
it's very comfortable. Nobody's thrown in the deep end.
So when you say you went into the club and you were told to dress down
Dressed
right
down.
away, that you
Yeah.
aren't allowed to be fully clothed,
No.
what is that about? Like you're not
So
allowed to be fully clothed.
so a lot of some clubs aren't like that. You can wear you can wear clothes, or if it's fancy dress, you wear your fancy dress, and then after a
Okay.
certain time you dress down. So basically women can wear sexy lingerie, and it's a nice way to show off your lingerie. People get
Mhm.
things off Shein and Temu, and Ann Summers, and they wear nice stockings and outfits, just feeling sexy in heels. Men tend to wear boxer shorts. They don't have as much of look as us with what we can wear. We can show off what we want to wear. But because everybody's the same, you don't
Mm.
feel silly. And because
Mm.
there's all shapes and sizes as well, you don't feel uncomfortable. So
Mm.
I got so much confidence from this lifestyle as a curvier woman.
Mhm.
To begin with, I was terrified because I thought, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm fat and ugly and this, that, and the other. And I think a
Mm.
lot of listeners will feel the same. They'll be like, well, no,
Yeah.
I've got a mum tum, this, that, and the other. Do you know what? You forget all about that. And when you're in with the right people, it's just so accepting and you feel amazing. It boosts your confidence. You start getting better body positivity, and
Wow.
yeah, you feel amazing.
I have to
Mhm.
say I don't think there's been a time where I felt more empowered than that
Yeah,
night
that's a
that
good
I went
word.
to, like, that I went to the club, because there was all shapes and sizes, and whatever
Yeah,
shape and size you are, we're women. We have those spots
sexy,
and that
whatever.
that downer on ourselves about our
Yeah,
bodies, and everybody was walking around all manner of clothing and all manner of shapes and sizes, and it was incredible, and nobody gave a flying fuck what
no,
anybody else was wearing, what they looked like. And there were, I don't know if is it the same, Nikki, in other clubs? There were quiet areas, there are breakout areas where you could be
yeah,
clothed
yeah,
and you could
absolutely.
wear
Chill
whatever,
out.
and
Yeah,
you just chill out, and it's no
yeah,
play zones, and
no
it's just
pressure.
people
Yeah,
sitting around having a cup of tea. And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Oh,
okay,
Oh.
yeah. There's a kitchen area. You can have a cup of tea.
yeah.
Have a little chin wag, and yeah, most clubs have got the social areas. It's not all about going and playing. It's about socializing with like-minded people. So the amount of times I've gone to a club and just literally never left the bar area because
Yeah.
I'm talking to everybody and I do talk a lot. So, people know me. And yeah, and I've just really enjoyed chatting to people, meeting new people. But you're right, it is empowering. It's the most empowering experience I've ever had. So much so now Carl paid for me to have photo shoot done um, where I was in lingerie. And when I got the photos back, I was like, wow, is that me?
oh,
It's
Oh, I
lovely.
love
And
it.
that's all from the lifestyle.
I
I
think
love
that there
that.
was a real separation as well. There was at this JD's club. So upstairs, there was an upstairs which
Yeah,
was predominantly,
that's
and
all
I
the
went,
play.
I got given a tour of it
Yeah,
before
Mhm.
anybody came in, and I did take some photos. I was
yeah,
allowed to take some photos when there was nobody
yeah,
in there. And upstairs was very much the play area. So there was
yeah.
cages and crosses and big beds for 20
Mhm.
people, and lots of viewing areas and glory hole places and things like that.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
you come downstairs and it's like somebody's living room with the
Yeah,
kitchen and everything.
yeah,
It was like, it was so surreal, but it was really I felt relaxed from start to finish.
yeah. You feel
Oh,
comfortable, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I
it-
say to anybody. It's, if anyone wants to try a club anywhere in the world, you'll find it's not what what your expectation is. You think it's going to be, something completely, seedy or too, in your face, and it isn't at all.
great. So, Smudge, can we assume then that you enjoyed yourself and had a lovely time?
I did enjoy myself and had a lovely time. What I didn't do, because it was the investigative visit, I didn't partake
Hmm.
in anything. But I would be more than happy to go back and partake in
Mhm.
the fun the next time, because, and I think a lot of people do that. My sister was very open with saying the first time she went, it was very much a let's watch and see what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Let's integrate myself. Let's find out whether I'm comfortable and whether and then the second time, you know, it was a different matter. But yeah, and I'd be more than happy to do
Yeah.
that.
Getting to know people, isn't it, as well? It's like I have to have you know, I have if I'm going to play with another couple, or if we have a single play with it, I have to get to know them first. I can't just play with people I don't know. It's like building up a relationship almost. So you build up trust, and these clubs are the ideal place to do that.
So if someone wanted to, like, I don't know what the levels of swinger lifestyle is, but like if someone wanted to go to the club, let's say, and just watch, like if they were just a voyeur and they just wanted to watch, but didn't
Absolutely.
have any interest in actually
Mm,
participating at all, is there space for just that?
absolutely. I mean, you get
Oh,
people going that only want to socialize and have a drink and a chat with people. There are lots of people that like to watch. Um, this is the good thing about the lifestyle. Anything fits. It's you find your own um, you find your own comfort and your own niche, and everyone's welcome. Nobody's judged. The massive thing there is there's no judgment. Everyone's welcome, no matter what
amazing.
your level is. And you tend to find the newbies, we call them newbies, that come to clubs and join the app and everything. A lot of the time, it is just testing the water because you don't know what you like.
Right.
A lot of
Yeah.
people, like I started in the lifestyle um, straight,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not now.
Mm-hmm.
I love women as well, and then and it's just developing. You develop as you go, and you find what you like and what you don't like. And yeah, it's very liberating finding your journey and your path.
Yeah. So if you're not sure that you want to actually do anything, but you might just want to watch, asking
Yeah,
for a friend, that's okay.
absolutely. And anybody would try and encourage you to do anything else. If you want to just observe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do that a lot of the time. I'm just like the observer because I'm
Yeah.
nosy, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's
There was
interesting.
there was a specific room, wasn't there, with a window
Yeah.
and a like a
Yeah.
like a window. So it was specifically if you wanted to go in there and be watched, there was a room specifically you could go in there and have other people watch you, and they just
Yeah.
like I pulled the curtain and were able to watch whoever was in there doing whatever
Yeah,
they were
because
doing.
that's some
Oh,
people's kinks. They like to be
really?
watched. So as
Mhm.
much as some people only like watching, some people only like to be watched, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
gets them going. So they're more than happy to perform whatever you want. You can experience.
So many misconceptions are being blown right now because
Yes.
like I just assume like the swinger lifestyle means, you're either single or a couple and you are swapping partners and like the fact that there's just maybe there's a couple who just are exhibitionists, like you said, and they
Yeah,
just like to be watched, but they don't want to
yeah,
play with anyone else. Like there's
absolutely.
so many different options in here.
Oh, there's so many. And the good thing about
Yeah.
our app as well is that you learn all about the different categories of people because there's names for all sorts of people. And you do learn a lot, but you learn a lot about yourselves as well.
Were you so nervous the first time you and your partner played with another couple? Yeah.
Absolutely terrified. You'll find that even those people that have been in the lifestyle a long time, you always get the nerves. Even going to a club now, me and Carl will have nerves, we'll have anxiety, but we try and
Mm.
turn that into like excited nerves because you don't know what's going
Yeah.
to happen. But there is nothing wrong with being nervous either because it's human nature. I think if you're not nervous at all, I think that's when you sort of like, yeah, it's not no longer fun, because nerves
Good.
are all part of it. But yeah, absolutely nerves, just not knowing what to do. You think, what do I do? What do I
Yeah.
say? But actually, when
Like,
you're actually in the moment and when you actually get chatting, and because you do get on with the people, because you have to get on with people, obviously, it's just
mhm.
natural. It's just so natural and effortless.
Can I
Yeah.
ask if one of the nerves things the first time you did it was nerves of whether or not you might be jealous or how it might sit with you to
Yes.
see Carl playing with
So
somebody else?
absolutely. So in the very beginning, myself and Carl, and any couple will feel the same. You do have that. You don't know how you're going to feel, and it's taken me. I'll be honest. This is an honest space. It took me a long time with Carl to get to that point where I completely trusted him. Not necessarily because of him, but just the nature of everything.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there is that bit of jealousy sometimes. Now I'm absolutely fine. I don't mind. We can be in a club and he will go and play with people without me there. I'll just stay at the bar. If you just said that to me a couple of years ago, I would have been absolutely no way. But now I'm happy for him to do that. But yeah, you've got to, if you're in a relationship in this lifestyle, you have to be in a good place and you have to be strong. Some people think that people in this lifestyle are doing it because they've got issues with the relationship. They're the people that will not last, because you have to be strong in this lifestyle. You've got to be trusting, and yeah, you've got to be in a good place. So it's not a fix. You don't come into this lifestyle to fix a relationship. You come into it to enhance.
So how do you set those boundaries? How did you have a conversation about boundaries?
Yeah.
We're all about boundaries and consent, etc. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what I would say to anybody who's not in the lifestyle and is thinking about it, and to those that, are starting out in it already, it's communication is key. So we sit down and we very regularly have a conversation about boundaries, what we're comfortable with, what we don't want, what we do want, and we agree on them. And we know that if one of us is uncomfortable, we walk away. We all I have to do is give him a look, and it's like, right, we're off. It's all about communication and setting your own boundaries and being honest and open about them, because you don't want to be suddenly surprised. We said we weren't going to do that, and you've been kissing, because some people don't like to kiss. It's something that they keep to themselves for their own relationship. So then if their other partner, if the partner's then kissing someone, they're like, you said we weren't going to do that, and that can cause issues. Always set your boundaries first and say, right, we're not doing this, and then talk about it after. So one thing that I do like about going to clubs and things is afterwards having that bonding time with your partner after, or with your friends if you're single, and just being honest, open, and talking about what you enjoyed, what you didn't like, if you didn't like something, and it's just that, it's almost like aftercare, really. I call it reclaiming, where you reclaim each other and you've got that love and that bond together. And some people, when you're single in the lifestyle, sometimes it can be quite a come down, because you've had this experience that's been so amazing, and all of a sudden it's done, and you can feel quite low afterwards, almost like a drop. So it's really important for single people to, that's why the app's good as well, because people can communicate on there and talk, and and it just keeps you going, keeps you level and looking forward to the next time.
So do you and Carl have like the same people that you play with, or is it new people all the time, or a combination of the two?
We've got friends, and I say friends because we really are good friends, and we do play regularly with them. But equally, because of our app, and because we go to different clubs, we're meeting new people all the time. So we get to know people. And I wouldn't say that we play with a lot of people, because we don't. We have a close circle of people that we tend to play with. And yeah, but we meet new people all the time. And again, that goes for socializing as well. We socialize a lot with them. And it's nice because we find now, if we go out on, we call a vanilla night. So if it's a vanilla night where you're going out with friends that aren't in the lifestyle, it's quite boring sometimes, and the conversation's not as exciting. You do get really good conversations going when you go out for a meal with your friends in the lifestyle. The conversation's always really fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I totally understand where people are coming from when they say that they find it very hard, because they're jealous, or because you do have that fear. We're human at the end of the day, and a lot of people will argue that, well, if you love someone, you don't want anyone else. But it's not about that. It's a different kind of relationship. You have your love relationship with each other, where you are a couple, and we're absolutely madly in love with each other. We want to spend the rest of our lives together. Can't imagine being with anyone else. But having somebody else come into the lifestyle and have that play, that is a fun side. And although you're friends with them, and you care deeply about them, whatever, that's all it is. It's just fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you've got each other. Once you get a taste for it, you don't necessarily want a vanilla lifestyle. You want to experience it more.
What if a listener is out there now, or one of us,
Mhm.
and we want to have a dabble, dip a toe in?
Yeah.
How would you recommend starting a conversation like that with your partner?
So this is obviously this happens a lot. You'll find that there's one half of the partners that's thinking, I'd really like to investigate this and I'd really like to try it. I would say you have to be open and honest and have that conversation. If you're in a relationship that's strong enough, they're not going to be like, oh my God, that's terrible. You shouldn't be thinking about things like that. It's about why they're interested, what they think it will bring to the relationship. And it's about not replacing anything in a relationship or, you know, or using it as an excuse to go and be unfaithful or anything like that. It's about enhancing and strengthening your own relationship, so you've got to have that conversation. So it's about how do they feel about it, what they want from it. And then it's about why don't we go to a club, or why don't we join an app and have these, just get to know people and have a chat and, start from there. You don't have to jump in the deep end and go all out. Sometimes it's just talking to people, and then you can get a feel for what you want, and you might both agree, or one
Yeah.
might be like, well, no, I'm not interested. And then you've got to reevaluate your relationship and think, well, if it's something that you really want, are you in the right relationship?
Two things that you said really stood out to me when you said like it's a very strong relationship that can
Yeah.
enter this kind of lifestyle. Like don't come from a broken place thinking,
No.
how some people will be like, oh, as soon as we get married we'll be better, as soon as we can have children, like they
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
for all these like really fucked up ways to fix their relationships.
Yeah.
um but it's like this is for strong partnerships,
Yeah.
if you're in a partnership.
Definitely.
And when you talked about reclaiming, like I love that concept of,
Yeah.
you play with these other people, but then you reclaim that special
Yeah.
bond and
It's
relationship that
together.
just you and your partner have.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful aftercare moment of like that coming back home to each other.
Yeah. It might just be a little
Ooh,
kiss or a cuddle, or a cup of tea.
Of course.
There's a Brits,
of course there is a
without
cup of
tea.
tea involved.
Always a
Definitely
cup of
some
tea.
There
tea.
is.
But it
Let's
Gotta
is
have a
have
tea
very
break.
much like I wasn't aware that it wasn't just couples wanting to swap with couples.
Yeah,
Generally, as
but I
much as
thought
I'm
that.
into certain kink
Yeah.
alternative lifestyles, I wasn't aware swinging to me was couples just swapping with couples.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It opened my eyes to so I wasn't aware there was all of this kink, like all the BDSM stuff, all the subdom stuff, all the degradation stuff, all the places that I love to be. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware that it was all encompassing. It was a real surprise.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. It's not just the keys in the bowl and swapping. It's not that's it. It's just nothing like that. There's so many people have different desires. You do have the kink side of it, which you have your submissives and your dominants. Then you've got your people that have different fetishes. Some people do like pain, and some people like to be tied up, and there's just so many different dynamics. I think dynamics is the right word to use, because you get a lot of single people that will want to attend events and things, to be dominated by somebody or be a submissive for somebody. Yeah, it's just very, very inclusive. But yes,
Yeah.
it's varied, that's for sure.
So how do you vet a possible person to play with? Like, what are some red flags or deal breakers where you're like, no?
Mm.
So red flags for us are if there's only the man who's if we're wanting to play with a couple, if there's only the man communicating, usually that's a red flag, because it means that the woman's probably not interested, and
Okay.
it can cause problems. Um, we like to get to know people. We won't play with anyone unless we've had a social with them. So we sometimes will go out and meet in a public place, never in private, and have a drink, have a chat to see if we get on, to see if we've got the same vibe. and then we'll rearrange and maybe go to a club or something. So big things really are never to meet alone. Never. Always meet in a public place to start with, especially if you're single. Getting to know somebody first. That's why the app's good, any app, because you can actually get to know somebody first, safely. Get to know, and then you can decide, well, actually, I won't mind meeting them. So you'd meet in public. I would never recommend meeting, somewhere private. And then, see how you feel. And then if you find that they're not who you thought they were, if they've not got that personality and you don't hit it off, it's a no. So we do have to get on personality wise. We like to have a good laugh. We like to, we just really like the conversation to flow. And it's like with anybody, you meet people, don't you, in your life that you hit it off straight away and you become good friends. It's much the same. You get a good feel for them.
Nice.
And I think the social aspects at the club were exactly that. I mean, obviously from the app, you go and you can do the apps, you do those scenarios. But when you go to the club events, it is a social. It's very much people just talking. It's like you're just in a normal club or a bar. Or in somebody's kitchen, when you go to a party and all the youngsters are in the the living room dancing, and then all the oldies, all the oldies are separate and they're all chatting. That's how
it's good.
It's very open, like chatting.
It is. And you know what? The one thing that I love about it as well is when you go to a vanilla like bar or whatever, you wouldn't just get a random stranger coming up to you and saying, "Oh my God, I love your outfit. I love your hair. You look amazing." Because you'd be like, "What they want?" But whereas in the club, it's so normal for especially women. You know how like women tend to congregate in toilets and you become best friends. It's just like that with everyone. People compliment you. They're like, "Oh my God, you look gorgeous. I love that outfit. Your hair looks amazing." And you're like, "Oh, thank you so much." And you take that on board. It's just makes you feel so good. Whereas in a bar or restaurant anywhere, if someone did that to you, you'd be like, "What do they want?"
Yeah,
But it's so nice.
Yep.
For it to be like genuine, like it's genuine. Not like
I mean, it must be such a
Lots of
confidence boost.
friendships have been forged in toilets and things in most places, but in the clubs especially, I mean, I've had many heart to hearts with Annette in the JD's toilet. It's just lovely.
Annette is my sister, by the way, if anybody was wondering who that was.
Oh, yes.
I agree. I met people there, and after about an hour, it felt like I'd known them my entire life, because there just seems to be no barrier. There was no barrier. There was no. Everyone was there for sort of similar mindsets, I think I'm going to call it, not lifestyles, because there's varying different lifestyles within it, but from mindsets, people were just there looking for connection and friendship and compatibility potentially. It's so much different than what I thought.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like, so Smudge may have told you about some of this, but like how the three of us met through the Quinn app. And we joined these online communities, and it was like immediate friendships that went deeper than friendships I've had for 30 plus years, because we came together in this very intimate space about a very intimate subject. And people came in just very raw, very honest, very like no masking. Here's me, here's who I am, even though it's virtual. And what's been so cool to see is building these friendships virtually, like I'm sure people do on the app of yours, right? And then meeting them in person was so, I was nervous at first because I've met a lot of them in person now. I was nervous at first, but within seconds, I was like, oh, they're the exact same person, just in 3D.
Absolutely.
So it was the friendships, when you connect over something that's so personal and intimate, it's just a different level of friendship,
It is. And
Yeah.
it's actually more meaningful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much more meaningful. If you I actually think I'm understanding the community building part of your app more now because we're in this community. If you were just talking about this 8-9 months ago, before I had joined Discord with these ladies, I would be like, oh, that sounds really nice. That sounds awesome. Sounds like a really great experience. But like, I truly get it now. It's it's so awesome.
Was there a time, Nikki, like when you first got into the lifestyle? Because like you were saying, when you go to like a vanilla club and someone
Mm,
approaches you and compliments you or whatever, you automatically assume like, all right, creeper, what do you want, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So we're just conditioned as women to always be on
yeah.
guard, right? So what was the transition like into the lifestyle when you were at a club like this and everyone is just genuinely kind and friendly to not have that cynicism or like, what are you after,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think it just takes a little bit of time.
Mm,
Because I think when you first start going, you are cynical and you are a bit like, oh, I don't know, I don't really trust anybody. And
yeah.
I think the more you go, and you do see the same people as well, you do get to get to know people, you just get to have that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first start hearing things like that, you think, oh, they don't mean it. They're just saying that. And,
Yeah.
we have to be honest as women. We don't take compliments very easily. We're always like, oh, when people say, oh, you look gorgeous, you're like, oh, I'm a bit fat, or I've got, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You do, and it's ridiculous, isn't it? We
Hmm.
should just be like, well, thank you very much, and take it on board and, run with it. And I'm as bad as anyone. It just takes that time. And then you start thinking, well, you know what? I'm going to take that compliment because that person didn't have to say that to me.
Yeah.
Because in this lifestyle, it's like, you're not hitting on somebody necessarily. You are genuinely, you know, complimenting people without ulterior motive. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just time. I think time is the essence, and
Yeah.
just trust, getting to trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about sex. That visit that I made to that club, it wasn't
No,
anything about sex.
Hmm.
no.
Genuinely.
And that's what people sometimes can't get their head around. It's like the
Yeah.
club that we go to in Manchester, the amount of, they're very strict. But in the past, they've had men banging on the door demanding sex. And it's like, it's not an establishment like that. It's
Mm.
getting that, we're in the process of changing people's mindsets and the stigma. That it is it's respectful. We're respectful people. It's not all about sex.
Yeah, see, I would not have thought that. And this is
Thank
no judgment. I have friends who have been in the
No, no.
lifestyle, but like just that I would think that this is a place that someone goes, they dance, they drink a little bit, but ultimately they're just going there for sex. That's why they're going. So to hear about like, no, it's just a party. It's just a get together.
Just a
It's
vibe.
Yeah,
just friends
fine.
coming
it's a
together. And
vibe.
if you find you end up wanting to play, you play. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah,
No
I can't
pressure.
remember the last time I played in a club.
Really?
I just
Wow.
love. I'm a social butterfly. I just love the social aspect. I love talking to people. Have a dance on the dance floor. Absolutely love it. My
Mm-hmm.
feet are killing me by the end of the night, but I've had a damn good night.
Yeah, I remember we were talking, me and you, Nikki, and we were just
Yeah.
chatting, and all of a sudden you went, right. I think Carl came over, and you were like, right, I'm going to get changed, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you look stunning, but go for it, whatever. And then like you went off, and then you came back, and you looked like incredibly hot, like
Oh, thank you.
incredibly sexy, and I was like, and just carrying on different conversations.
Yeah.
Genuinely, as much as people were walking around in different states of undress or whatever, it was less about sex than it has been in any bar or nightclub that I've ever been in.
Yeah. Isn't
That's
that? It's
amazing.
amazing, isn't it?
Wow, that truly
Yeah.
is amazing.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm a big advocate for it now.
Yeah,
And
and it was nice to see you because obviously it was the first visit, and I have to say you did look comfortable, and I hope you did feel that people were checking in on you, and because that's what people do, and that's genuine. That's not just you; it's everybody. Everybody looks out for each other, and especially if you're new, it's like, are you okay? Do you need anything?
definitely,
How
there
you
were definitely
feeling?
regular check-ins because my
Yeah.
sister, fucked off and left me for like an hour and a half. And I was like,
She'll never
then
live that down, will
here
she?
I am. But everybody
Yeah,
was speaking to me. I wandered around and
yeah.
different places and felt completely safe, completely relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and there was plenty of people around. So there was a lot of
Mm,
people, they're not security as such bouncers. I mean, they are technically. I don't know what you would call them, but they are people that look and monitor and flit around and wander around the different areas just to make sure everybody's okay and,
yeah.
check-ins with people. So at no point did I ever feel anything other than fascinated. By the way, fascination
Yeah.
was a big emotion for me. and I think I stood there quite a lot with my mouth open, and not for that reason, but for like, as in like in awe of all of these amazing humans that were walking around me without a care in the world and just being
Yeah.
who they want to be.
Is this a lifestyle you anticipate being in your life forever? Or do you,
Yes,
yeah, it's going to
absolutely.
be, this is who you are.
Yeah, even in my Zimmer frame, I think I don't know if you have those over in America. You
I
know,
have no
the
idea what you
walking
just said.
frames.
Walking
When
frames.
you're an old person, you need walking
Oh,
Like,
sticks.
walkers.
you know,
We just call them
walkers. Yeah,
walkers.
Oh,
walkers.
walkers.
Yeah, we
Okay.
call them Zimmers. So you'll be the
Zimmer?
swinger. You'll be the swinger with a Zimmer.
Yeah, yeah,
does Emma?
absolutely. Yeah, as long as I've got me faculties, yeah,
Yep.
I'll be doing it, and advocating for it. Absolutely.
So,
Amazing.
how do people find you?
Yeah, so it's the Pineapple Lifestyle app,
The pineapple.
and it is available on iOS and Android
Mhm.
stores. You just download the app, and then when you join, we recommend you verify, because otherwise you can't really use it. You can't use all the facilities on the app, obviously for safety. We have what's called not safe for work. So people post photographs, and obviously when you're on the bus or if you're in public and you don't want to open up an app and suddenly see a pair of boobies or anything, do you?
Yeah.
So we have a blur feature, so everything's blurred and you have to click on it to unblur it. So you can be in
Brilliant.
public and
Smart.
nobody sees what you're looking at.
Mhm.
They can see us in it. We do events with a big part of the Lifestyle Lounge in Manchester, JD's in Bedford, and we do attend other clubs as well throughout the country, so people can see where we're going and meet us. I'm known as Mrs. Pineapple. I always get people calling me Mrs. P.
So
Um,
cute.
So yeah.
That's so cute.
we had you set up under our interview schedule as the pineapple people.
Yeah.
I think really, I'd love to ask if you could, if you wish you'd known something before you started, what would you have wanted to have known about the lifestyle?
I just wish I'd have done it sooner. I
Mm.
really
Yeah.
do. I honestly think that I feel sorry for some people. I know that sounds really bad actually, but I feel sorry for some people in relationships where they're doing the same thing day in, day out, and it's very mundane. I just think, wow, there's so much out there to enjoy, and that freedom to enjoy. But before I started, I think I wish somebody would have sat me down and told me, what to expect, and how to go about it, what to expect from a club. That's why I always talk about it, and I always say what to expect and what not to expect, because
Mhm.
it's scary. It is scary going to your first club because you don't know what to expect.
Well, that's what's so helpful, like a conversation like this, which is why we wanted to have you on, because we know there's people listening who are like, I'm curious about it, but don't know the first thing about how to start, what to expect.
Yeah,
And so hopefully what you've shared is helps people to feel more comfortable of knowing that
yeah,
it's such a welcoming environment. Oh.
No, I genuinely think there are no better communities than those communities that I've come across that belong to alternative lifestyle
mm,
or kink
Yep.
yeah,
communities. Because I think they felt ostracized and classed as not normal for so long that when you find your
hmm,
people, it's an amazing thing. And the strength and the love within those communities is something unsurpassed for
absolutely,
me.
totally agree.
That's so interesting that you
Yeah,
say that so much, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking um, that it's the same for the LGBTQ community, right? When we
yeah,
find our
absolutely.
people,
Yeah.
and we're able to, because I remember when I was a baby queer, when I was like, and I would like go to places, and like I'd go to P-town in Massachusetts, Provincetown, which is a big gay mecca,
Yes.
and I would see people of the same sex holding hands, and they're so welcoming, and because they've been ostracized and they know what it's like to live as part of a hated minority.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah,
when you find people that you're like, oh my God, you just embrace them. So it sounds very similar to what you just said of
absolutely.
like,
It
Wow.
is
yeah.
absolutely, and like I say, we have absolutely everybody on our app. We're very, very big on um, promoting, supporting the LGBTQI community.
So it's so nice that like everyone is represented on this app. So
Absolutely, yeah,
it's just so inclusive. I love that.
And not just represented on the app,
In the
represented
club.
within the clubs. There was so
yeah,
honestly, genuinely, it was the second thing that I was surprised at, was turning around and seeing so many different sexualities, so many different genders, so many different ways people wanted to identify as, and nobody batted a
No.
fucking eyelid.
You don't.
It was like the world
Right.
we need to be in
Yeah.
JD's club. It was just like the
Yeah.
world
So
in a club.
refreshing. Wow.
Great.
In the club.
Yeah.
We all fam.
In the club, we all fam.
This conversation has been incredible.
Yeah.
I
I've
have
loved
too.
it.
I've really
Absolutely
enjoyed it.
incredible.
Can't wait to go to a club.
Oh
A
my
club.
gosh. I've learned so much. I have learned so
I
much.
know.
Thank you so much.
Immediately after this, there's going to be 3 more people downloading the app.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and hopefully,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we'll see you in a club at some point, whether it be in the UK or the US.
And we're obviously going to put all of the details for the Pineapple Lifestyle app, and put the details of the Manchester and the Bedford Club in our show notes of where people can find you. And
Amazing.
honestly, genuinely, it was eye-opening me going to the club. This conversation has been eye-opening, and I know our listeners are
Oh,
going to absolutely love it.
oh, it's been amazing. It's been a pleasure. And anything else that you ever need, you know where I am.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Fantastic. Nikki, pleasure. Thank you for joining us on
Oh,
Queencast.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
It's
much.
been lovely. Thank you. Lovely to meet you all.
Well, swing, bada, swing. That was quite the conversation. I learned so much about the swingers lifestyle that was so much more than I expected.
I was expecting, and I'm really glad I didn't go this way. I told you, I don't know about this lifestyle. So I was thinking the same thing. I thought she was just going to be telling us all about the playrooms and all the BDSM stuff. All that. I am so glad that is not what happened. Like, this was so much. I'm sorry. All I can think of is some of our listeners who worry about the way they look,
Mm-hmm.
and people in our community, and like just how fucking refreshing it's going to be when they hear what she says.
Yeah.
Like that is my favorite part about this whole episode, I think.
Same, Jules. Like when I think about, like, as I'm listening to her, like as someone myself who struggles a lot with my body image and my appearance and stuff, I thought, what would that be like? What would that be like? This would be like living a life in Smudge's shoes, because Smudge and I have talked about how she just is 100% confident and doesn't ever know what it's like to think the way like someone like I do. And I'm like, God, what would it be like to go into a club like that? It would take time for me to believe that I'm not being judged or, anything.
Right.
But how nice to hear that place is just so welcoming.
So welcoming. And she even said that too, right? She said, I like that. I just like how honest she was about that. She's like, you're going to be nervous and it's going to take you a while to believe these things. Like, you're going to automatically be like, what?
Yeah.
And then once you actually start going and starting to build that trust in that community, then that's when it will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be quicker than you guys think it would be, of becoming comfortable with your body and your sexual preferences or your or whatever in that environment that I went into, because it was, whilst you're right, Kaz, I genuinely don't have a, bad body image of myself.
Yep.
I don't think that way. Nobody does there. And you pick up on it. And you pick up on the fact is, when you're talking to somebody and they're in lingerie and they've got all the beautiful curves and the stretch marks and the bodies and the, nobody cares, because nobody is talking to you about what you look like, and nobody's competing. There's no competition. Nobody's competing against somebody else. You have no competition there, because everybody's there with the same mindset.
Wow. And it's just like the normalizing that the way that we look in real life, like, that is not how people look in the movies. That's not freaking reality. Everybody has a stretch mark.
Yeah.
Everybody has dimple places they don't like. No one's skin is as smooth as the freaking filters we use.
Yep.
And so, sorry, I just got real passionate about that.
No, you're right.
Wow.
No, you should.
And so going there and seeing that is just normalizing that your body is just, it's your body. And everybody's looks different.
It's just a body.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Love
It
that.
was such a good conversation.
It was
So
it was
good.
just brilliant. And I loved every second of being in the club, and I loved every second of that conversation.
Yeah. Thanks
Me
for bringing the
too.
idea to us, Smudgy. It was a really good one.
Hey, you know
Thank
me,
you
I
so
don't
much.
eat fruit, but I like now pineapples.
That's
Only
right.
upside down.
We're all gonna live pineapple ever after.
Good one. All right, so there,
Thanks. All right.
there we go. Another episode of Quincast in the bag. Hope you listeners found that helpful. Check out the Pineapple Lifestyle app on your respective app stores. And yeah, we'll see you next time on the next episode of Quincast. For now, this has been Kaza. Your voice matters.
This is Jules. Go put those lips to good use.
And this has been Smudge. Keep wanking.